Hello there, welcome to this WIX tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to add a review section into your WIX product page. Over here, this is a WIX example where it is been described to show you how to add product reviews to your store page, and I'm going to show you how to add these up. As you can see, we have something that looks like a repeater displaying the reviews from different shoppers or different customers. And we also have at the top over here, we can see how many product reviews we have. We can also see the stars or how many ratings that have been calculated in the back end. And here we have how many percentage of the people recommended the product. And when you click on this button over here, you're going to find a light box on the same page that allows you to actually add your information into it. Okay, so this is actually an amazing way for you to add a product review into your product page. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this, and I'm just going to write something cool. Amazing products is the title, and I'm going to say I love this product. So I'm going to choose an image. Let's choose this one. And do you recommend? Yes, it's selected on default. And when you click on the post review, you see that is been submitted, and once it's done submitting, it's going to close and your review is right here. And also the product ratings will be increased, and whatever calculation is being done here will also be performed. So I'm going to show you how to add these for your individual products. If you have a WIX store set out and you want your customers to be able to review your product, then this is the right tutorial for you. So before we go into the editor, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also hit the bell notification to get notified whenever new videos like this come up. And also give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying this so far. Alright, so WIX has a tutorial example on how to do this, on how to add product reviews, and I'm going to use the same exact template that they have. So I'm going to edit this now. If you want to find these out, you can always head to the link that I have left in the description below. There are tons of WIX examples over here. The URL is wix.com/velo/examples. There are tons of tutorials for you to learn from, and I'm just going to show you how to set this up. In a future video, I'm going to show you how to add this same review section as a comment section in your WIX dynamic page. So what you want to do is to go to the product page. As you can see, the store page is not here yet, and the reason is because we haven't added it already. So go over to the get started, and you can see that it appears we do not have any collection yet. So what you need to do is to publish these templates. It doesn't have to be any URL. You don't have to define the URL, and then you can save that and then refresh. Alright, so now we've refreshed these templates, and next thing we want to do is to head into the product page. So let's go to the store pages and then to the product page. Okay, so over here you can see that the section for reviews are two strips. So we have the first strip and then we have the second strip. Okay, so what I want to do is to click on the both of them, or select the both of them by holding Control and clicking on the second strip. Then I'm going to right click and then copy these two strips into my own page. So over here I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to paste what I've copied, and as you can see, my content has been pasted successfully. Okay, so this is what I want to do. I want to copy everything the same way as it is, word for word, and then later on I'm going to start adjusting them. The reason why I'm doing this is because of the IDs of the content, because there are actually a lot of content here, and all the content have IDs, or element, they have IDs. So let's turn on our dev mode, for example, and then I'm going to show you what IDs we have here. So right here you can see that we have the ID called add review for the button over here, and these elements are also they also have IDs. Okay, this strip also is an ID, and that is the reason why I have copied this word for word. I'm going to do the same thing for the code. Okay, so to do that for the code, what we're going to do is to maximize our code panel and then highlight everything and then copy. Okay, I'm going to copy the code from that page and then paste it right here. Now you can see that we have only two places where we have errors, and we're going to fix that in a while. Now the elements are not the only things that we're going to copy. We are also going to get the data sets. So we have a data set over here, and the ID of this data set is called reviews. So over here, when you click on that, you can see it's called reviews. So I'm going to do the same thing and add a data set into this page. Although we don't have a database yet, but that is fine because we're just going to go step by step. So I'm going to bring this data set right over here. We don't have to connect that for now because we're going to copy this ID first. So I'm going to go ahead to copy the ID from the properties panel. And then I'm going to paste that ID right over here for mine, which is called reviews. When I hit enter and click on the page, on the code panel, you can see we have 0 errors on our page. Now this is exactly what I want to show you how to do. You don't have to make anything unique yet, but you can do the design later on if you want. Okay, so now we're done with this page, and there is a second page that we need to attend, which is the light boxes. So head over to the light boxes and you can see we have a light box called the review box. We are also going to create our own light box, and we're going to also call the light box a review box. So first of all, before we copy this, we're going to head into our website and then we're going to add a light box. So go over to interactive and then we have light boxes. So choose any light box that you like. So I'm going to go ahead to choose this one. And then I'm going to get rid of every item that is being displayed on there because I actually don't need that since I'm going to be copying from another website. Now this is our light box. I can go ahead to stretch that out. Okay, and here I'm just going to go ahead to copy this section. All the contents are inside a box, so that makes it so easy for us to just go ahead and click on this box over here. You can see once you click on it, you can see that it's called container box and the ID is called review box. So all the items here as well have IDs. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead to also paste these. I already copied this. I think I did that. I'm going to copy that again, and then over here I'm going to go ahead to paste the design. Now you can see that we have a design that has been pasted into our light box. Now we don't have to create this from scratch. I'm going to change this background to a white color since almost everything is dark. All right, so that looks much better. I'm also going to change the background color. I think that's called overlay of my light box. I'm going to change that to white as well. Okay, so that looks much better for me. I'm not going to go into the designs, but you usually should do that if your website doesn't have the same design as what is here. For example, the font styles and all. Okay, so now we're done with this section. We're also going to copy the data set. There's a data set here on the light box, and the ID is called submit reviews. So I'm going to go ahead again to add a data set over here. Okay, so I'm going to make this data set, and I'm going to go back to the example templates and copy the ID. So the ID is called submit reviews, and I'm going to go to mine as well in the properties panel to change the ID to submit reviews as well. So just copy paste is what I'm doing here. Okay, now we're done with the visuals. Now let's go into the code panel and then copy everything, all the code that we have here. Okay, I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to also bring it to mine code panel. Now there are no errors, everything looks fine, but then this is not the end of the code yet. We're still going to look at a few things before we can conclude that the code is done. Okay, so now let's go into the main part that will actually make this code and this section to work, which is creating a database. Okay, when you click on the databases over here, we have two new databases. We have the review starts and we have the reviews. The review start is actually a database that allows us to save all the recommendations and the number that the person created, and then there is a calculation that occurs when you submit this form. That calculation is then summed up to the current product in the database. So for example, over here we have what ratings, the total number of ratings that we have the number of counts, we have the recommended, how many people chose recommended. We're going to see all of these ones later in the code, and I'm going to go ahead to explain them as we move forward. Okay, so what we need to do here is to create these two databases. Okay, I'm going to click on these three icons, or the icon just right there, and click on the edit settings. So here the name is called review start. So I'm going to stick with this name, I'm going to stick with the ID as well because the ID is used in the code. So I'm going to copy the same exact name that was used here, and I'm going to go into the databases. Okay, so we have a bunch of other databases, but we don't need this one. So I'm going to go ahead to create a new one, a new collection, and then click on get started. And right here, I'm going to paste the ID of, or the name of the database from the example template, which is called review starts. Now let's check the additional settings to see what the permissions are. So here we see that the permissions was changed to custom use, and let's see what the custom use are. So anyone can read, anyone can create, anyone can update, but only the admin can delete. So I'm going to stick with these permissions. So I'm going to go to my additional settings, and I'm going to click on the site's contents and scroll down to custom use. And here I'm going to set the custom permissions to anyone. And here I'm going to leave it as admin can delete. Then I'm going to set and create the collection. Once we're done, the collection is going to open up. So I'm going to go ahead to also open up this this review start. So I'm also going to do the same thing by going into the database to copy the names of the fields that we have. So the name of this field is called field name. So I'm also going to create a field called a field name. So over here, you're just going to copy that. And here you're going to get rid of this one. And then we're going to paste the field name, which is called rating. Now if you notice here, it's actually a number field. Actually all the fields that we're going to create are number fields. So I'm going to change this field type to a number field, and then click on save. Now we're almost done. We have our first field create. We're also going to create the field called count. So I'm going to go ahead to highlight that, and then I'm going to click on the copy and do the same thing for all the other fields. All right, so now you can see that our fields are beginning to look the same like what we have in the example templates. Okay, so it's exactly the same fields that we have, and now we are done with the first database. We're going to go ahead to create another database, which is called the reviews. Now let's open that up to see what that looks like. So right here you can see that this is where all the data from our pop-up box is actually being saved. Okay, so we can see the recommends. If anyone recommended, is going to check yes. If it's not, then it's going to leave it blank. And then we have the photo. Some people don't put the photo, so most of the items here are not required. Okay, and that is what we're going to do. So I'm going to create also these fields in my database, which is called a reviews database. Okay, so I'm going to create all the fields, and let's get started. So again, we're going to head into the add plus sign over there, new collection, and then we're going to have a name. So I'm going to go back to this section over here and edit settings for our from our example template. I'm going to copy this exact name for the collection that they have, and I'm going to paste it right here as reviews. Okay, now I think this is not the end, but if we go to the additional settings as well, it's also set to custom use. Okay, and that means that there are settings. As you can see, anyone can do anything, can do everything. Okay, so we're also going to do the same thing and set the permission of this database to anyone can do anything or everything. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead to do that, and then next I'm going to click on set and create the collection. Okay, so once we're done creating the collection, it's going to open up. So I'm going to go ahead to open up the example template as well. As we move forward, I hope you're enjoying this tutorial. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. All right, so now we can see that we have a field here that we don't need, and we're going to create all these fields from new. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead to create the first field that we have, which is called recommends. I'm going to click on the properties, and I'm going to copy that. Now you can see that the field type is a boolean, and that is exactly what we're going to do as well. So I'm going to create this one, and then the field type is a boolean, so I'm going to make it a boolean as well, and then save. Then next we have the photo. So this is the photo of the user, and the field type is an image. So I'm going to go ahead to create a new field with the photo, and it's an image field. And then next we have the ratings. So the ratings are also set for individual members, and it's a number field. And then we have the writer's name, which is a text. So I'm going to go ahead to create the member's name or the writer's name as a text, and I'm going to save that. And then we have the location, which is a text as well. So I'm going to go ahead to create that as a text element, as a text field type, and then I'm going to click on save. We have the review title. This is actually the primary field. So I'm going to create a new field called the review title, and it's a text. So I'm going to make this, before we continue with that, I'm going to make this the primary field. And I'm going to drag this to the beginning of the page or the beginning of the database. So this is the first thing that we see when we open up the database collection. Then I deleted the title field since I don't need that. So I'm just going to copy the main part, which is the review section. So I'm using Ctrl+C all this while, Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V, the shortcut on my keyboard, to kind of speed up this process because we have a lot to cover from here. Now we're done with the reviews, and next we have the email as well. We're going to copy the email, and right over here we are also going to paste the email and create a field. It's a text field. And then finally we have a special field, and this is called product. So before we move further, you can see that the product ID or the field key is called product ID. So what you need to do here is to actually copy this one, which is the field key, and you can see that the field type is a special field called the reference field. And since we are working with the WIX Store, that means we're trying to leave a review for individual products. Okay, so we need to reference which product the user has left the review on. Okay, that's why we're using the reference. So make sure you copy this one first of all, copy this over here, and then we're going to create a new field. And we're going to paste the ID. Okay, so we're going to paste it here in the field name, and we can go ahead to save. After saving, you can also go ahead to change the name to whatever name you want. So I'm going to leave mine as product, and I'm also, most importantly, I'm going to make this a reference field type. So I'm going to scroll down, and over here you can see that there is a reference, and they said what reference, what collection am I trying to reference? I'm trying to reference the product database. So right here you can see we have products. So click and select the products and then save. Okay, so ideally we're done with all the fields that we needed to create. We're done with this section, and we're about to go into the page to begin to automate the process. Okay, so let's head back into this page, and then let's take a look at what items that we have. So I'm going to turn this on and then back on to see if these elements appear, but they don't, so that is actually fine. So what I'm going to do here as well is to head back into the page, and as you can see we have an unconfigured data set. Okay, so this data set is supposed to be connected to something, and let's find out what it's supposed to be connected to. So over here at the settings, you're going to go to the settings, and you can see that this data set was connected to the review database. Okay, so it's been connected to the collections called the reviews. So I'm going to do the same thing for my own data set. I'm going to click on the settings, and over here I'm going to look for that reviews collection and click on reviews. I'm going to leave it as read only, and I want only 5 items to be displayed at a time. And that is all we need to do for this part. So before we move forward, we're going to check what elements were connected to our data set, to this data set, which is called the reviews data set. So here is the repeater, which actually shows all the reviews, and as you can see, this repeater is being connected to our data set, which is the reviews data set. And some of the items or elements are connected and some are not. So we're going to find out which of them are being connected. So the first one that has been connected is the writer's name, okay, which is the nickname. It's been connected to the nickname, and we have another one which is the location. It's been connected to the location. Now we don't connect the image, we don't connect the ratings, we don't connect the other text for the time of the submission, which you can see over here This is the time. We do not connect that time. What we do connect next is the title, and then we connect the reviews itself. So we only have four items that we connect to our data set. So I'm going to go ahead to connect those items. So here in my own page, this is my website, and I'm going to click on this connect to data. This is the reviews repeater. Then I'm going to select the only data set that I have. In case you have other data sets, you can name the reviews data set as a special one. So the first item we need to connect from here is the writer's name, which is the nickname. So I'm going to go ahead to click or select the writer's name from my collection fields, which is here. And I'm going to head back, and then I'm going to click or select the locations as well. So we have a location, and then the next item that we have to connect is the review title, I guess. Yes, we have the review title, and then we have the reviews itself. So we're going to connect two more fields, and we're done with the connections. So over here we have the reviews titles. And then we're going to head back, and then we're going to look for the reviews itself, which is over here. When you hover on it, you can see that it highlights what elements you're going to connect in your repeater. So I'm going to go ahead to connect the review itself. So this is the review, and then we are all done. So before we continue, I want to publish my website to make sure that my database content and fields that I created were actually saved. So once you create a database, you need to make sure you actually publish so that you don't lose your content. So I'm going to click on save as well. In case I refresh my page, my elements are still there. Okay, now we're going to head into the review lightbox. So we created a lightbox, and over here I haven't changed the name yet. I'm going to click on that one that I created, and we're also going to head into the lightbox from the WIX example. So I'm going to go ahead to double click on this to copy the name. So the name is called review box. I'm going to copy by clicking on Ctrl+C, and over at mine, I'm going to rename it as well as review box. So we're done with that section, and we also have a data set that is unconfigured. We're going to find out as well what data set or database that this data set is connected to. Again, the data set is connected to the reviews database. So I'm going to go ahead to connect mine as well. So over here, I'm going to go ahead to choose the database or the collection called the reviews, and this is going to be a write only data set. Okay, this is going to be a write only. As you can see, it's a write only. Okay, the next thing we're going to try out is to see what elements were connected to our database, because most of the code here, what it does is to help us save our inputs into the database. So let's see what elements that actually need to be submitted. So we have the nickname, we have the location, we have the email, we have the upload, we have the review, we have the review title, and then the review itself. This element is not connected, and this element is not connected, and our button is connected with the save operation. So we're going to go ahead to connect all the items that needs to be connected, which apparently are all the input elements, all the boxes. So let's go ahead to do that. For the nickname, which is called the writer's name, writer name, over here we have the location as well. So the location is connected to location field, the email is connected to the email field over here. The review title is connected to the review title field. All right, and we have the review itself connected to the review field, which is over, that is the title, which is the review over here. So let's see to make sure we're not connecting the wrong fields. Okay, that is correct. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead to connect my button to be the submit button. So click on the button and then click on connect to data. The click action should be submit, and we're going to allow this to stay on the page. So basically we're done with apparently everything that we need to do to allow this code to work. Now we're going to test this out and see if it actually works. So let's publish these and also save before we preview. Okay, so I'm going to hover over the publish button. I'm going to click on view site. And as you can see, we have this lovely site and we have a shop page. So I'm going to click on the shop page, and you can apparently click on any of the items. So let's click on the first item. And when we scroll down, you can see that we actually, okay, so this is an issue we need to fix right away. This box should not pop up on load. So we're going to go back to the page over the light boxes and click on the review box that we created. And we're going to change the settings, or we're going to set the trigger. So this does not automatically display. So we're going to click on no. Yeah, the X can do that. The close button can do that. We don't have a close button. So that is all set. So let's click on publish again, and then we're going to save to continue. All right, so now we're going to go ahead to refresh this page. I hope we're moving fast enough, guys. If you love this tutorial, give it a thumbs up, and also check out the other videos that I have. And as you can see, there are no reviews yet. Okay, so we're going to try to write a new review. Now when we click on this button, you're going to notice that this button doesn't work yet, and we're going to head back into the code. I'm going to show you a few things that needs to be changed. We're going to check out some of the code that we have that enables us to load more, for example, or to actually write a new review. So let's click on this button, and the ID is called add review. So I'm going to copy the ID. I just copy the ID, and over here I'm going to right click and then find. So I'm going to find where this was used, and as you can see, we have an export function for the on-click event. And what this is supposed to do is to open up the lightbox with the ID of the product. Okay, so we're going to replace these with ours, since as you can see, we have no on-click function. So I'm going to go ahead to click on this on click, and I'm going to hit enter. Then I'm going to copy this section. I want to make sure to copy that section, or apparently there's an easy way to do that instead of copying that entire section. As you can see, there is an _1, so I'm going to go ahead to add the _1. Okay, and then I'm going to delete this one that I have already. Okay, so now we have fixed that issue, and that should be good to go. And finally, we also have an export function for the results page. This is supposed to load more, but I'm not going to use this actually. I'm going to go ahead to comment this out. So to comment, click on your control, or hold on your control, click and hold, and then your /. So click and hold your control and then the /. Okay, so I'm going to click on this item. As you can see, this is a text element, and I don't need a text element. What I need is a button. So I'm going to go ahead to duplicate these element over here. Where is the duplicates? Right here. Okay, so I'm going to drag these down, and then I'm going to check the ID. The ID is called result pages. So I'm going to copy this over here, and I'm going to change this ID to something else because I want to rename my new button the same ID as the text. Okay, so that has been replaced. I can go ahead to delete this, and I can go ahead to close that section out. And over here, I'm going to change what the text says. I'm going to change it to load more. Okay, that's not how to spell load more, so I'm going to click on that properly, load more. Okay, and then finally what you're going to do is to connect to data. So I'm going to connect this to data, and I'm going to select the click action connects to. So this is going to be connected to load more. All right, so that is all fixed and it's looking nice. Okay, so let's publish these, and then let's go ahead to test our code and preview this site. So hopefully this works out great. Okay, so now let's refresh this page. All right, so now what you're going to do is to click on a write a review. And now when you click on that, you can see that the review has been opened up, and now we can go ahead to write our review, our first review. I selected the 5 over here. We can select other options. You can see the color changes when it's been selected. I'm going to change the name to my name, and I'm going to change the address or the location to Philippines. That is where I live. So I'm going to change that, and I'm also going to put in my email here. All right, so now I'm going to choose a very nice photo. I can decide to choose or not to choose a photo. So I'm going to go ahead to choose a nice photo. Let's choose this one over here, and I'm going to say awesome products, and I'm going to say I really love the product. All right, so you can leave this as do you recommend this. This is already by default is yes. You can choose no. So let's go ahead to post the review. Now our item has been submitted, and you can see we have one product ratings and we have 100%, but the review does not automatically show up. So let's refresh this page first of all and see if it actually shows up eventually. Now yes, it does show up, but there are some issues with the product not being able to show up immediately. But the most important thing is that it was saved. And now let's check if it was actually saved in this particular product alone. So let's go back to the shop page over here. This was the green punch. Now let's check the apple citrus or citrus. And now let's see. So you can see from here that the item only displays on the one product that we have, which is the oh, I can't remember what that was, but it was, yeah, the green punch. Okay, so you can see that the product review was only on this product. Now this does not work, and we're going to check out why this doesn't work. Okay, so now let's head back into the code and the page, and then let's see what actually happens over here. So let's head back to the lightbox and let's take a look at what is going on with the lightbox. So apparently this actually works already. This is looking great. It works fine. We just need to check out a few things, a few reasons why this item does not automatically appear after it has been written. Okay, so this was actually connected and I didn't connect mine, so this was a bad on my side. I'm going to connect these to the images. I'm sure you guys already noticed that from the beginning, and I went ahead to save that anyway. Okay, so that has been saved. Let's make sure all items have been connected. Yes, all items have been connected, and we're having another issue, which is the displaying of this and also the time that it was displayed. Okay, so let's close this out and then let's take a look at these elements. So we search for the one rating. I just Ctrl C and Ctrl F to find, and I can find this element where it is, and let's see what happened to the code. So set the ratings elements rating value. So here we have the rating. Let's head to the reviews. This is the field key from our database. So let's check the field key to make sure that it's correct. So over here you can see that it is actually correct rating. It is being saved as 5. But then apparently it doesn't display over here, and I'm not sure why that doesn't display. And I have a feeling that that's because we also needed to change the export function for our review repeater. Okay, so we needed to add an export function. So click on your repeater. So we have our repeater over there. Click on the repeater, and over here we're going to change the on item ready function. We're going to replace it with what we have here. Okay, we're going to replace with a new one. So click on that and then hit enter, and we're going to check to see what we need to replace, which is the _1 as well. Okay, so head back to where you're on item for your review repeater, head back there, and in front just add an _1. Okay, so we have duplicates. We're going to go ahead to delete the other duplicate that we have, and that is all. So before we test again, let's make sure that every export function we have actually working or actually connected. Those are the only 2 export functions that we have that needs to be reviewed. Now let's save this. Let's publish and save, and then let's refresh this. So hopefully this should appear on our repeater. We can see over here that the items were being displayed, the year and the time the review was made, and also the review that I made. So I made a 5-star review, and then you can see it's a 5-star review. Let's add another one just to check out how this functions. This time I'm going to give it a 1, and I'm also going to use my name because I actually wrote this. So I'm going to do that and also use my email. So this is my email in case you guys want to reach out to me. That is my email. And I'm also going to use a different image, and here I'm going to say very bad, just very bad, and I didn't like it. Okay, and here I'm going to change it to do you recommend? No, I do not recommend. So I'm going to post this review. All right, so our item has been reviewed, and as you can see, that pops up immediately it was submitted. Okay, so you can see that the review has dropped as well because this has been calculated in the code, and we have only 2 product reviews, which as you can see over here. Okay, and the reason why this, I'm going to show you where this calculation actually happens, the calculation for the recommendations and also the calculation for the ratings. So right over here, we're going to just go down. You can see from here we have the load statistics. Okay, so right over here is where most of the calculations happen. So we have the average ratings, we have the percentage recommended, and all these items are being displayed in our page. Okay, so you may not really need to know what everything here does, but all you need to do is just to copy and paste every item, including the strips, which are these strips over here and this. Okay, and your IDs are with them. Make sure you check your IDs. All right, so this is your reviews data set. This data set is what you use to control how many items are being displayed. Okay, so as you can see, I have only 5, so you can make as maybe 10 reviews to be shown at once, or I'm not sure how many. Another thing you can do is you can add a pagination to these as well. So go to the interaction, and we have the pagination, and over here drag and drop your pagination to it, and you can actually apparently connect this to your data set, which is the reviews data set. And once you do that, it's going to display, it's going to allow you move from page to page, and that is an amazing thing if you don't want to use the load more. I actually prefer to use the load more, and here let's refresh that to see if that works out well. Now you can see we have our pagination all set out. We have the first page, and that is working well. Okay, so now let's go back to our shop and let's review another product. So let's use the orange, and let's scroll down. You can see there are no reviews yet for these products. So I'm going to click on write a review, and I'm going to actually review this well. All right, so I'm done setting out my content, and I'm going to submit, and let's see how that pops up. Okay, so as you can see, this is the content I have for this particular product, which is the orange zest. And I'm going to go back to the shop, and I'm going to click on the first one, which is the green punch. And as you can see, I still have my 2 items connected well. Okay, so this is how you connect your item. And notice something, we have an image over here because I submitted an image. If there is no image, it is hidden. Okay, so this is an amazing tool. It's an amazing feature that you can use for your WIX store page. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to also do this thing, having it in your WIX dynamic page. So if you have a dynamic page of any kind and you want to have a comment section, I'm going to show you how to manipulate this code to make it work in your WIX dynamic page. So watch out for my next video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell notification to be notified when this feature for the dynamic page is being added. All right guys, so thank you very much, and see you in the next tutorial.